welcome to our channel. I'm Linley.
I'm Lovemore.
And we're Mr. and Mrs. Nkhalambas. So this is our first video of many.
Mm-hmm.
And we're excited, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely.
We're very excited. We've had a lot of work with the setup. Cameras shutting off. But we're happy.
It's not been easy, guys. Very happy.
Yeah. We've been thinking about this for a very long time. We've been planning it for a while. Discussing it for a while. We're happy this is finally happening.
Yeah.
So why are we here? What are we doing here? Why YouTube?
Yeah, I think many reasons really, but maybe just to highlight our separate or individual ministries or ideas that we've had, and how maybe that meshed up into what we're trying to do here. So as me, way before I met you, I had these ideas of what I would want, what space I would want to fill in terms of ministry, and just what I want to do for God, I guess, and for fellow men and for fellow people out there. So my idea has always been around manhood and I guess authenticity around that area of being a man and what that means, and just helping each other as young men, young adults, especially the men, on how to be better men in society, responsible, and not only in society but in the church, in the family, or in whatever spaces that we find ourselves in. We live in a generation where manhood is maybe taken for granted in many other ways, and it's being degraded by media or whatever other avenues, and just uplifting that standard for manhood. And my ideas have been around that for a while, and how I think it's been taking different shapes and forms, and how I would want it to play out, and how exactly I would roll out those ideas. Until then, I met you, and you had your own ideas as well. And yeah, why don't you tell the world about what your ideas were, and maybe how those meshed up into.
I think my idea of ministry, actually, it's not been clear from the start.
Yeah.
And probably only became clear because even last year I remember, like, gosh, I want to serve. And when you think of ministry, it sounds like such a heavy go out.
Yeah, like go to the world.
I think we make ministry sound so
daunting.
difficult. Yeah, but it's actually really anything that you can do and reach out to God's children, whatever shape or form.
Yeah.
So I think that helped and made it simpler for me. But when I actually started thinking about ministry, I think is maybe 4 or 5 years back, when I read Talent is Never Enough by John C. Maxwell. So that book basically talks about identifying what your talents are, what your passions are, and how you can bring those in line with how you can basically be a useful tool or an asset to your community, to your people. So in my case, because obviously I'm a Christian, it's how I can best use those talents and passions to serve God.
Yeah.
So one area that was very important for me, I think, or what stood out in that time and still stands out today, is just uplifting women and giving women, or reassuring women of their identity, identifying their talents, their passions, helping them working through finding, confidence, self-esteem, and just helping women feel that vibrant, I can do anything in the world type of feeling, but also finding their identity in God. I think that was also something that became important to me because of my own walk of faith and where I came from, what I experienced, and the encounter that I had, the first actual encounter I actually had with God.
Yeah.
And when I felt that, I wanted others to feel that too. So I wanted to be able to share and, just help other people, because it's not easy. Not everyone has that, and it's not straightforward. And I'm aware of that. Even I was an individual who didn't have that, who didn't know how to find that. But when I did, I just had this urge to kind of like share that with other women.
Yeah.
So how I wanted to do that, my idea of it all is holding seminars or book clubs with women.
Yeah.
So I think the first book that I actually wanted and was this book, Talented Never Enough. So that book is great. It has such a great layout, great steps, which I thought would be very useful for any woman. So kind of like holding a seminar with that, all the lessons and, you know, principles that were in that book, just empowering other individuals. And also just, I think when it comes to young women, the platform that I used to think of was church.
Yeah.
So reaching out to the young ladies in church, whether you're in your teens or you're in your 20s or 30s, that's an area that I really wanted to be a part of. I think our church is very blessed in terms of gifts and talents, but they're not utilized as much. And there's not really that platform. That church is supposed to mold you and to help you be groomed into the woman of God that you should be. And I felt like there was a gap.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be able to fill that gap. So that's kind of where my idea of ministry was. Yeah, sure, men, boys as well, but my focus was women.
Yeah,
because my experiences are from a woman's perspective. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to be able to share. So that was my idea of ministry. Yeah, so it was just thoughts.
And like you could see that from both our ideas. I think one string that's sort of constant is public speaking in both, like trying to address a group through speech and that type of activity. So like just, I think fast forward to when we met and talking about ministry, which we did for a while. And just, you know, talking about how we'd want to serve as a couple. I think that conversation also like evolved. Over the I don't know how long, pretty much since we started dating.
And I think the reason why it took us so long to reach this place is because when we used to talk about ministry, like I said, it's only probably last year where I actually identified ministry as something that could be just this. But because we used to think it has to be
like this task, let's go out and not saying that's not important.
That's very important. It's still something that I love.
Yeah, exactly. But then, it doesn't always have to take that pace. So and then this pretty much came about as an idea, or let's try and do videos and upload on a channel and try to hopefully reach out to both the populations that we had interests in as individuals. So guys, that's pretty much how this idea was born. And maybe
also how it meshes with like our individual passions. So he loves videography and that's like a skill that he wants to build. So this is, I think, that
as well. And you're into like design, so
and we both like to speak. So,
a lot.
So of course this is more like a sit down video, so you might be like, oh, but how does this really? But eventually you shall see motion.
Yep, definitely. It's something
we'll play around with it.
Definitely grow. Hopefully also feedback from you guys should help. So maybe we want to talk about
content.
Like what are we going to share? What are we going to focus on?
What can people expect?
What should people expect from this channel and all that? Do you want to start with that?
I think the first thing, the key thing is faith. We're going to talk about faith. We're going to talk about God, God's love for us, our love for God, moments where we never felt loved by God, moments where we didn't love God. We're going to be very authentic. We all have those moments.
Definitely.
So I think faith is going to be a big part of this. All the struggles that people experience, the challenges they experience, challenges we have experienced, I think that's something that needs to be talked about. I think problems and struggles shared, anyone can be strengthened by that. You can learn from other people's experiences, whether if it's not ours or whatever experiences other people have had in the Bible.
Exactly.
So that's something that we really want to focus on.
Yeah.
Faith is going to be a huge part of this. We want God to be the center of this. We can definitely expect that to be
like the center,
of this.
Of our channel.
Topics. I think even if we talk about other content,
but
it's still going
because we're Christians, it's like part of our experience. Whatever it is that we experience or talk about, like we see that through the lens of what God has done for us or whatever. So we should expect that to be like a huge pillar in whatever content we share. What else? What else are we sharing?
What else, babe?
This is
relationships. So relationships.
Yeah, so we're talking about relationships. Relationships is a huge, I think, theme that I think both of us are quite keen about, and just how those dynamics play about. So these are relationships, whether it's dating, whether it's family, siblings, parents, parenthood, friendships. So we're not just talking about, I think, I know most people when they hear relationships are excited, dating, courtship, that's part of it, but like just the broader theme. I like to say that like God's like breathes his existence somehow to men through relationships, like Godhead and then God to men. So like those relationships, dynamics, and how that plays out, and our responsibilities in those, and whatever. So that's going to be a huge part of
marriage as well.
Marriage, yeah.
So no, this is not. We've been married for
like 3 months. Yeah, today is what, 29? Babe, today is like literally. We were married like today 3 months ago.
3 months. September,
yes, babe.
November, December. 4 months.
No way.
September, October, November, December. 4 months. We've been married for 4 months, guys.
Yeah.
4 months. So yes, 4 months only. It's not like we think we're experts and now suddenly we want to start a YouTube channel and share all these gems. It's not that.
True.
It's just basically, of course, marriage is not the focal type of relationship that we're going to discuss. Yeah. But we also do acknowledge the fact that in these 4 months we have learned. Yeah, we have our own lessons that could help other people, our own experiences, you know. Yeah.
So, and yeah, I mean, even the months and year or whatever leading to marriage, so engagement. Yeah. You know, all of those experiences that we've had, and just sharing those, and you know, hopefully that could help someone out there. So that's
one more type of content.
What's the other content, babe?
Life dynamics. So life dynamics, I think this is anything that doesn't fit in the first two. So it could be careers, it could be just self-development, especially because we love, I think, the youth. Yeah. The youth is a very...
Psyched about it.
It's a jewel, man. We youth are jewels. So when it comes to things like confidence, peer pressure, finding your direction, your purpose, self-worth and all of that, and even if it's careers, if it's business, not that we're all we're experts in those fields, but our experience, what we've learned, what we've read about, so that's pretty what we want to share.
That's what our content will evolve. It might, seem like taking different shapes at sometimes, but like that's the main pillars that we
think of now.
Yeah, we think of, who knows what we'll be doing 10 years from now, but
or even like 2 months.
2 months, but
we just want God to lead us. Whatever direction He wants us this channel to take, we're very ready and willing for that.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe for today, we're just gonna share our story. Maybe
just so you guys can get
to know us, who we are, how we met. I think
it's better to receive or enjoy content from people when you feel like a personal connection.
So we're just gonna share a little
how we met,
and
our faith journeys as individuals. So how did we meet?
How did we meet? So,
okay.
no, because this is exciting for me because, anyway, let me just get into it. I think what year was that? 2018? Yes,
2019.
No. You're talking about the time that we met when we started dating. I'm talking about the time that we met. This is why this is exciting for me. Because in 2018, babe, we met. We're in church. So I was staying in this part of Nkhalambas. I don't even know if it's Lilongwe, but anyway, outskirts of Lilongwe. And I was praying at Lilongwe Central Church, right? And you were praying there. You had been praying there for a while. And this particular day, I would see you, would see me, but probably not even notice each other.
I don't remember seeing you prior to. Sorry.
Fine. This day, I was going back home after church, and you offered, I don't know if I asked or someone asked you to drop me off. So you offered to drop me off, or we ended up in your car, and you dropped me off on the stage where I took my bus home. So we spent like maybe 10 minutes or 5 minutes in the car, and we talked about your college, where you did your school, what you did, where you work, that type of thing, for 5 or so minutes. So we met. And then we left. And then, went our separate ways for about a year and did our thing. I was still praying at the church.
A year is a stretch.
Wasn't a year?
Okay, go on.
Okay.
It's your story.
Let me talk about it in my perspective. So about a year, or I don't know, less than a year later, in 2019. Now, that's where now I think in January, sort of started texting, or we met at church. Am I missing it?
I'm laughing because the details you have missed.
Let's go.
No, go on.
No.
It's your story.
Fill in the detail.
It will be my version.
Okay, all right. So we started texting in Jan, where we're texting, hi, hey. I think you're deputy leader, youth leader then. So
2019?
yeah. So you're vice youth leader. So I would text about the youth meetings. Lindley, I'm sorry, I can't make it to the youth meeting. And then you'd be like, it's fine. And then I think that's how I remember starting to talk.
Course.
Yeah, and then
the man's perspective is very.
Where am I missing it? And I feel like that's how we started talking.
Yeah,
right?
it is. It's just you.
Because December was the dinner. We're not talking during that time. Yeah,
like the week. It didn't go on.
Was that before or after the youth week of prayer? That was before.
What?
This texting back and forth, like what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and then the youth week of prayer happened.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, the youth week of prayer happened, and I was there. You were also you were a leader. So because it wasn't youth week of prayer. It was just the 10 days of prayer that we have at the start of every year as a church. But the youth were leading that year. So, as the youth leader, you were sort of organizing that, and I had one day in which I was facilitating the program, and we're talking just pretty much about that, nothing else at that point.
We weren't even talking.
We weren't even talking. We just like meet at church, and just we're not talking
and
at all.
And other people would run after me in the church.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right, that's your version. That's how we met.
Yeah, and then from there I think I went back to Blantyre. I came to Blantyre. I feel like I'm missing a lot of details in this story right now.
You thought I was older.
I went to my mom. I was like, is it okay if I talk to, or is dating an older person okay? I wasn't thinking about dating at that point, but I was like, what if this could start? And I thought you were older. I thought like by at least 2 years old, 2 years older than me, just because of how you carried yourself around. you know.
I,
Yeah. But yeah, turned out you were not.
yeah.
Anyway,
3
so
years younger.
yeah. Anyway, so that's how we started, or at least noticed each other at some point, and then we were texting and talking, and I think the texting just sort of like started to grow over the days and weeks. And that's the best
You get the
ideas
details from my
that I can like that's the
Because,
best detail that I can get. And then, you know, one day I call you and I'm like, I think I had gone to Lilongwe and I had gone back to Blantyre. And when I moved back to Blantyre, that's when like we texted a lot. I remember I think I went to Blantyre at around 20 of Jan. And between 20 of Jan to somewhere, I don't know, mid-Feb, we texted a lot. I was just starting a new job in Blantyre and, you know, we were texting a lot during that time, I remember. And just like kept building up, and I would sleep really late texting. Do you remember that? Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the only period where I would sleep late.
Yeah, like 2 a.m. And I thought this girl is going to be
2 a.m.?
Yeah, babe, would reach 2 a.m. at some points. Not every night, but we would reach 1 a.m. at least. Anyway. Yeah, and then like I came back, and I remember one time when I came back, before I was going back, I asked you to, I don't know, man, maybe I'm mixing up the stories. It's been a while, guys, about 2 years now, so maybe 3 even. So forgive if I'm mixing up the details here, but I asked you to meet up at this place. They had just started out this place here in Nkogo where they're making fresh juices. And we met at Nkogo, had juice and pizza, I think. Yeah, we had pizza from that place. And yeah, okay. And we started talking more and more. And we talked about a lot of stuff that day, Marvel movies, a lot of stuff.
I don't remember the conversation.
But anyway, and then we kept on texting back in Blantyre, and then that was the entire Feb. And then in March, came back in Lilongwe, went back to Lilongwe, and we met, had asked you to go out on the 3rd of March for dinner. And we went to, I mean, the story of that dinner date, I think, is a story for another day. Like the planning, yeah, man, that was a lot. It was, yeah.
My response.
Yeah, so we met there, and that's pretty much where I like officially told you my intentions, and we started dating after the 3rd of March.
Okay.
And then pretty much, yeah, a journey of dating, courting, whatever, engagement, and got married this year, 29 August.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my version of this.
What really happened?
Oh
so
boy.
yeah, sure. I guess we met 2018. I don't remember that.
We did. You remember?
I remember the day I dropped you off. I don't remember any other meeting.
Okay, I'm not talking about any other meeting.
Okay.
But we met on
So
that.
in December of that year, you were supposed to recite a poem, I think, at the dinner. Right. I don't remember ever meeting this guy there. I don't even remember I was at the... I don't remember.
But do you remember
now
the poem?
Suddenly... No?
Do you remember the poem at the...
I don't remember you.
Even at the dinner, you don't remember the poem? Wow.
I was very busy.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
So that's... The weird thing is that's December, right? The dinner was like...
I think like
December before Christmas.
Somewhere around this time.
Now suddenly... The week of the 5th of January, I'm noticing this guy. So it was the week of...
10 days
no,
of prayer.
it was the day of prayer and fasting. It was 5th January 2019.
Okay.
So that day...
Yeah, so we have a day of fasting.
The first
Sabbath.
of each quarter,
yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
So, he was choristering in church. And for some reason, now suddenly... I noticed that there's this guy and I'm starting to think, okay. Now this is a day of prayer and fasting. Right. My mind is is focused on God, you know?
Like, what?
And suddenly now I'm noticing men. But anyway, I brushed it off. And then the day of prayer and fasting, we're now supposed to start planning 10 days of prayer, which I think was starting the following day.
Yeah. Usually that's how it works. Yeah.
Or not, I don't remember.
I think it does. Yeah, it starts.
Or it was the week after. So now the youth are planning, and I had to. Actually, no. Brian was contacting the facilitators.
Yeah.
But now we're setting up a meeting on a Sunday. He should have contacted his friend at the time, but instead he was contacting me, telling me, "Oh, I won't make it." I'm like,
so who's Brian?
Brian was the youth leader. I was the vice youth leader. So now you can lose my train.
Sorry, I'm contacting Brian.
So now he's contacting me instead of contacting Brian. I'm like, okay, cool, you'll make it for the meeting. You should get the minutes. You're on the group, you get the minutes. But anyway, so youth week of prayer starts, 10 days of prayer, sorry. First day I go, and I think we prayed in the same group because he came to sit next to, like, we're sitting on this pew. So he sat with my friend. I don't think it was a coincidence. I think you were searching. Somehow he ended up sitting on my pew.
Oh, okay.
And we prayed together.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So now, obviously, this is the guy who I noticed the day before, the week before. So obviously, I'm now interested in his movements, right? So he sat with us, we were praying together. So as we're praying in groups, we hold hands. And he happened to be next to me and we're holding hands and praying. And I just felt this, I don't know.
The Holy Spirit.
Guys, I don't want to say that because it would seem like, but yeah, I felt like God was, working something there. Like we were holding hands and I just felt this, I don't even know what to call it. But
you've never told me that before, actually.
I have.
Oh, okay.
And there was something there. Okay. So first day, whatever, we prayed. I don't think we talked that night. Next day, I didn't come. I was working late. Obviously, somebody had to check up on me. Oh, hey, Lynn, I didn't see you at church today. Where were you?
Remember.
We talked. Jeez. And then the following day, I went to church. Anyway, we were talking that week, here and there, like maybe 2 days. But literally, one of the days, as we're walking out from church, I'm walking on this aisle, he's on the other aisle. The corner of my eye, I can see someone, you can't run in church. So it was like a sprint walk. I see this guy sprint walking just so that we can
you're
meet.
Making us.
Because you were sprint walking just so we could meet at the front of the church. And we met.
Fair enough.
And then he starts talking to me, and we're talking. So that's 10 days of prayer. And then he has to go to Blanta. Now there, because I'm now noticing this guy, I'm interested, we are talking, we have good conversation and all of that. Now he's going to Blanta, a different city. So, for those who may be watching and are not looking. So, where was I?
Yeah, so I'm moving.
So now he's moving to Blanta. In my mind, I'm thinking, oh, this guy would not be interested in long distance. It's over. It's over. But shockingly enough, we were still talking. I don't remember what happened exactly there and then, but yeah, the juice thing happened. And then now, what just felt different, I think, was where... Oh, no. I remember now.
Okay.
When you moved to Blanta, I was concerned, A, that you would not want a long-distance relationship.
Okay.
And B, that you won't want to talk anymore. So now suddenly he no, not that. The reason why we continued talking was because you asked no, man.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Because you asked me to study the book of Ephesians with you.
Right.
So there I'm like, oh.
Right.
Now instead of me being like, yes, I'm going to study the word of God with someone, my first thought was, yes, now we have a reason to talk every day. But yeah, so we were studying the book of Ephesians. We studied it for, like, every day would have devotions together. So even if we don't talk during the day, I knew we're going to talk at night to study. So we'll discuss the book. After Ephesians, I think we went to
Philippians,
and then we did
another book.
Thessalonians.
Yeah.
We did Galatians.
We did like 4.
So we were studying together, okay? And that was nice and everything.
I think we also did we do Ecclesiastics? Was that the same time? Or that was when we started dating?
I don't remember.
But
anyway.
Yeah.
Considering it was just a space of like 2 months anyway, possibly when we started dating. So yeah, eventually that's what I think for me was different. The fact that you're trying to get close to me, using God to get close to me. Yeah, sure, it's smart, but also I liked it because it wasn't just...
To be fair, I did need someone. Like at that point, I was struggling to study, so I legitimately needed someone.
And you chose a random...
I mean, it was just providence.
Okay.
I mean, so I needed an accountability partner at that point.
You had a lot of friends.
Okay.
But okay. Thank you. So yeah, that's how, I think, long story short, for me, the intricate details that were left out is that. That's how we started talking every day. And the fact that the day you asked me out on 3rd March is the day that you were clear about your intentions, that's a lie. You were clear.
Oh, on the 18th. Or was that the 19th?
You were clear about your intentions, I think, twice.
The only time I remember was the 19th
There was
of
a
Feb.
night where you sent me a long text
That's
explaining
the 19th of
how... Fine, whatever. I remember two incidences. But yeah, so it was that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what I loved about our friendship, very brief friendship, was that he was very intentional about, first of all, pursuing me, intentional about ensuring God was at the center of him pursuing me, and he was not being led by his own selfish desires and whatever needs he may have had at the time. And also the fact that the fact that it was different. Like, he was so honest, and literally all the dark secrets that this guy could possibly have, and if were to come to light at a later stage, he told me about them then, and I think I shared the same.
Yeah.
So it was a free space. We created a very free and a safe environment for both of us to be vulnerable. We came literally as we were, and not trying to put up any face. We made sure God was at the center of everything that we did. He, of course, also consulted and prayed with friends prior to pursuing me and all of that. So that's how we met.
Pretty much, I
think.
That's, I mean, if there's any other detail, I think we'll probably be sharing that as
later if it's important.
When needed. Yeah.
Last thing, our faith journeys.
Yeah. That one is tricky and interesting. I think as most of us out there, we all have our stories, of how we've moved from one point to the other in our faith. And I think for me, obviously I was born in the church. Like my parents, both Christians, and that's pretty much how I was introduced to God. And I think for a while, I just had these ideas of, maybe because I was born and raised in the church, that I'm supposed to be in church, like without really, in some ways, understanding the tiny details of what it meant to be in church. And I think growing up, went to secondary school, I was never really a very, misbehaving person, but I still had my own issues, my own fights and all that growing up. But I think when I went to college was when, in 2012, was when somehow I think some struggles began to get the better of me. It wasn't too much, but still there was these battles. I remember at some point there was this conference, youth conference, and we had a preacher from South Africa who came. And after that meeting, you'd think that after a conference like that, you'd be closer to God. But after that meeting, I just felt so distant because I think I saw the experiences of other people in that meeting, and they felt like they were like they were experiencing God in a different way than I was. It just like they had actual experiences with God, and there were all these testimonies and just even the way that people would pray in that conference. And I left that meeting and I was like, yeah, I do not have that. God is either not real or he just doesn't care enough for me to have that experience, like for him to why is he not coming down to me the same way that he's coming down to everyone else? And I was so mad at God, and I remember this might come as a surprise to many people, but I stopped going to church for maybe about 3 months in college. And I remember my friends would come and try to, why are you not going? And I didn't have any answer for them, but that was the struggle that I was going through at that time. And I can't remember how exactly I got out of that. And I think I'm sharing that to make that point of my relationship with God has been that of, for a while, I mean, maybe from childhood, just feeling obliged that because I'm a son of Christians, I should be in church, and then like young out or late teens, somewhere there in college, struggling with the idea of his existence, or rather, if he exists, then he doesn't care. And then it's sort of evolved into this relationship of authenticity, or just being myself and saying, letting God be who he is in whatever space that I'm found at that point. And yeah, I think that could be a short version of my faith. There might be other details. I'm not a very detail-oriented person, so there might be a couple of details that I've missed out, which might come out as we continue to share about our stories and later videos. Yeah.
In short, always been a lover and a fighter for something.
I wouldn't say that, man. Like, I've had my ups and downs, definitely.
Yeah.
They're there. How about you, babe?
I think my faith journey has been, mine is more recent because I've also grown up in the church. So we're Seventh-day Adventists. Grown up in the church, both my parents and families are Adventists, but I don't think that means anything, really, being born in the church.
No.
Firstly, because for me, or actually for anyone who's born in the church, that decision to be a Christian is already made for you, right? So it's something that is kind of a routine, and
right.
You don't actually have that pivotal moment in your life where you say, this is where I encountered Christ and I actually chose and received Christ into my life. So for me, grown up in the church, went to church every Sabbath. I was part of the AY for very brief.
Adventist.
Yeah. I think until I went to high school. I made a decision not to go simply because, no particular reason, just because. So still going to church, but I wouldn't say I had that.
So you're still going to church in high school?
Yeah, in my mother's house. We're all going to, it's Sabbath morning, you're going to church.
Oh, no, I meant when you're in school.
In school?
Yeah, so you're in boarding school, right?
Yeah, so I was in boarding school for, I think, Form 1 to Form 3. Was I going to church?
Yeah, like in school.
No. Okay, so KA, there was a chapel on campus, and then an Adventist church off campus.
Okay.
Maybe once in a long while, I would go to the off-campus one with friends, but very rare. If I went to church, I would go to the Saturday. So now you see, I'm already distancing myself from my actual faith because I'm now going to the chapel on campus sometimes. They used to also have SCOM. SCOM is
like it's not a youth like
a
high school ministry.
Yeah,
for pretty much.
So yeah, I would attend those. It's not like I never used to pray. I would pray. I pray every night before going to bed. That's not an issue. But that relationship with God, because your actions and your faith should, at the end of the day, speak to each other. That wasn't the case for me. So I went off to uni, and I think that was just where it was like. So even like relationships that I would make, circles that I would hang around, choices that I would make, they would not speak to someone who knows and loves God.
Yeah.
So I remember in uni, I made very bad decisions. He's aware. I'm not sure if I'll disclose them here, but yeah, very bad decisions. Not even my parents are aware of them, but anyway. So I remember I used to feel so sad. Like I would have moments where I'm just feeling so empty, so sad, and I would text my best friend. She was in another uni in Namibia, and I'll just tell her like I'm feeling so sad. I just feel there's no joy, and she'll just be like, oh, just make sure you're around people and all of that. And I'll try to do that, but again, there was this void. So, university life, you party, you do all these things. And this was like in my second year of uni, and there was just this emptiness. And I felt so low. So I made a decision to kind of change my habits in a way. Change them, not completely. I still left uni, with certain habits that I probably should not have started in the first place. But yeah, I got more involved with youth organizations at school. Yeah. I started participating in, committees, whether it's organizing committees for school events. And I think that was the start of God working in my life, because I started filling in my time with things that were actually helping me, building me. And I think that's the start of him working in my life. I was still doing other stuff, but he started working with me. And that's where I understand that it's not a process that just takes place maybe in a month or even a year, because this was literally in my last year at university, my third year, my senior year. And that's where all these changes were happening. Now, 2016, I come home. 2017, I'm working. And again, I think I was in a very bad relationship. Not even a very bad situationship. And again, when that was over, it just left me feeling so broken, so empty. And I was tired, and I needed a change. So that was 2017, and I think it's now in early 2018 where I decided to stop doing all these things, to just take a break from relationships and just focus on God. Now, what helped is, so at the time I was working as an auditor. We used to audit Ilovo, so we went to Luangwa, one of their office sites, and I was there for I think about 2 weeks. So I think going away really helped me get my mind right. So there I started. I remember I prayed, and I just wept, and I was just speaking to God, and it was a great time because you're away from all the busyness, away from all the, I guess, routine things that would have been happening. And there I actually got to connect with God, and that I think was a blessing on its own. So come back from that, and I just started building a relationship with God. And fortunately enough, it was the same time that my best friend was experiencing the same, and we decided to write letters to God, basically outlining to him, because it's God, he knows. There's nothing that you've done or said that God doesn't know. So telling him all of that and asking him, I want you to change me, I want you to take control of my life, I want you to work within me. And it was at that point, fasted and prayed, I think, for about a week over the things I wrote in that letter. And that is where God now started working within me. And I got involved with I think when I came back from uni, I joined the Sabbath school department. That also helped because now I'm spending more time at church. I'm actually participating. I'm actually interested. I'm actually building that personal relationship with God. So those changes in my life are very important. From my senior year in university, my first year back home, still doing, the wild stuff that I shouldn't be doing, but I'm part of the Sabbath school department at church. So it's a plus. It's a process.
Right.
And then now to the point where I make that decision to say no more. And immediately when I made that choice, I fasted and prayed and made all these changes in my life. That void, that emptiness that I used to feel was no longer there. So I feel like for me, that was God just trying to talk to me and say, hey, wake up. Like he was calling me, trying to reach out to me, but I'm still clinging on to these things. So what do? I still have this emptiness. And eventually when I decided to let go and gave God my all, that's when honestly the greatest experience in my life has ever happened. And I think one of the reasons why ministry and just sharing experiences and helping others was so important to me is because I was so sad that experience for me came so late in my life. Imagine me growing up in the church, being exposed to all of this, but not having a personal relationship with God. And believe me, in our church, we have so many youth who are the same and probably even worse.
Yeah.
But parents are so comfortable with not knowing, actually. Right. You feel that you've raised your child in the Adventist church, you're good. But really, that child does not know God. That child could care less, possibly.
Yeah.
And that's why I just want to be able to use my experiences, because what your kids are doing, I've done. Probably not, for those who are doing the most, probably not. But yeah, I have my own experiences, and I just want to be able to help and steer others in the right direction, to help others learn from mistakes that I made, because I think having an encounter and a relationship with God, it's such a beautiful thing. And if you can find that early on in life, the better. Yeah. It's harder. The more you cling on to worldly things, it's harder to find God and cling to him.
And like the older you get, obviously there's like responsibility that starts to build up, and you're working, you have so like there's more stuff to keep you away from God. I know we've had that experience where we lose track of our devotions or whatever, just because of the busyness of just running a home, work and whatever. So like imagine if you're in this space and you've not yet gotten that encounter, which is true for many people actually. And I think that's how Satan gets the best of us. So the earlier the better.
Yeah. So just on that, I think we'll probably explain more and touch more on our faith journey in maybe one of the other videos. But just as he mentioned, like even today we may be struggling with our devotionals. Yes, I said I found Christ, but doesn't mean it's been smooth sailing since. It's still but it's not as, I don't go as low as to the point where I was before, where I didn't know God or didn't really experience God in the way that I do now. I still have lows where, yes, devotions are a struggle and all of that. Maybe I feel disconnected from God, but yeah, it's, I think anyone's faith journey it's a up and down situation. Yeah. You just have to keep pushing.
Keep at it.
Yeah. Maybe that could be one of the...
One day maybe try to expound more on that.
But that's us. I think
that is us.
That you need to know for now, for the first video.
So yeah, we'll be sharing more and more videos on this channel. Just what we already said would share on, and yeah, it's exciting to start this finally.
We hope we grow.
Yeah,
we hope we help other people as well. That's key, man. We Definitely. Just want to be able to, whomever That's it could be, whatever age it could be, if it's kids, if it's parents who
Whoever.
could possibly help their kids with this content. It's a learning experience. I want us all to learn. I want us all to grow,
And have
love
fun.
and experience God. Have fun.
Have fun.
We hope you like our video, our future videos.
Yeah.
Like,
Subscribe.
notification gang, all of that good stuff.
Share to your friends.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we're here. Share to the most people as we can.
Yeah.
So share the link, the actual video, whatever it is, we don't mind.
Yeah. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.